My sister vanished with a married man and left her sick 9-year-old at my door. He's dead weight anyway, she said before hanging up. I raised him alone. 16 years later, she came back asking if he ever amounted to anything. When he entered, she couldn't speak. It turned out that now he was. My name is Caroline, and 16 years ago, my sister dropped her dying child at my doorstep and vanished into the night with a married man. What she said to me on that phone call still haunts me to this day. It was a Tuesday evening in September when my doorbell rang at 11 p.m. I lived in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon, working double shifts as a nurse just to make ends meet. When I opened the door, there stood my nephew Marcus, 9 years old, pale as a ghost, trembling with a small backpack. His eyes were glassy with fever. "Aunt Caroline," he whispered, and then he collapsed. I caught him just in time. He was burning up, 103 degrees at least. I carried him inside and immediately called my sister, Rachel. She answered on the 5th ring. "Rachel, what the hell is going on? Marcus just showed up at my door and he's sick. Really sick. Where are you?" Music in the background. Laughter. Then her voice casual. "Oh good, he made it. Listen Caroline, I can't do this anymore. He's dead weight anyway. I met someone and we're leaving tonight. You always wanted kids, right? Well, now you've got one. Do you think anyone could actually say that about their own child? Rachel, he needs a doctor. He needs his mother. I already did. Don't try to find me." She hung up. Just like that. My sister had just abandoned her son like he was a piece of luggage she didn't want to carry anymore. Marcus wheezed on my couch, his breath raspy and labored. I checked his temperature. 104.2. Swollen lymph nodes, white patches in his throat. He needed antibiotics now. But taking him to the ER meant questions I didn't have answers to. "Aunt Caroline," Marcus croaked, "Mom said you'd take care of me for a little while. She said she'd come back." The hope in his voice broke something inside me. I brushed the hair from his forehead. "Don't worry, sweetheart. I've got you." At the emergency room, I lied and said I was his legal guardian. Marcus was diagnosed with pneumonia. She'd left him with pneumonia, and I didn't even know he had asthma until the doctor mentioned his inhaler prescription. I called our mother in Florida. You know what she said? "Well, Caroline, you always were the responsible one. Rachel needs to find herself. Maybe this is for the best." Imagine finding out your own mother cares more about your sister's journey of self-discovery than about her grandchild's life. The hospital's social worker started asking questions. I needed help fast. I called the only person I thought might understand, my grandmother Lorraine, who lived in Seattle. She was 78, sharp as a tack, and had never particularly liked Rachel. "Bring that boy to me," she said. "We'll figure this out together." I quit my job, packed up my life in 72 hours, and moved to Seattle with a nephew who barely knew me. Marcus sat in my beat-up Honda, staring out the window, silent. What do you say to a child whose mother called him dead weight? Grandma Lorraine had a small house in Ballard. That first night she made Marcus hot chocolate and told him stories about my dad, his grandfather. "Your grandfather never gave up on people," she said. "You've got his eyes, Marcus. I think you've got his spirit too." Marcus looked up at her. "Do you think my mom will come back?" Grandma glanced at me. "I think your Aunt Caroline is here now, and that's what matters." The first few months were chaos. I enrolled Marcus in school, got a job at a local clinic working nights. Grandma helped with everything: homework, dinners, appointments. But Marcus struggled. He'd wake up screaming, asking if Rachel had called. Do you think I did the right thing shielding him from the truth? I chose to protect him. I became everything he needed. Slowly Marcus began to heal. He stopped asking about Rachel every day. He started calling me Mom by accident, then got embarrassed. I never corrected him. 2 years later I filed for custody. We found Rachel in Texas with that married man. When she was served with papers, she signed them without a fight. Didn't even ask to see Marcus. When Marcus asked about court, I said it was just paperwork. He didn't need to know his mother had chosen once again not to fight for him. The day the custody order came through, Grandma made lasagna and we celebrated. Marcus was 11, thriving in school, finally starting to believe he was worth loving. But I had a feeling that one day Rachel would come back. Very soon you'll find out just how much that little boy would grow into someone extraordinary. But first we had years to get through, years of homework, teenage struggles, and dreams that seemed impossible. And through it all, Rachel's words haunted me. "He's dead weight anyway." I swore I'd prove her wrong. And oh, would I ever. Marcus turned out to be brilliant. And I mean truly brilliant. It started in middle school when his science teacher called me in for a conference. I thought he was in trouble. You know how your mind goes to the worst place. But Mrs. Chin sat me down with this amazed look on her face. "Mrs. I'm sorry, what should I call you?" "Caroline is fine. I said, still not used to being seen as Marcus's parent at school functions. Caroline, Marcus is exceptional. His aptitude for science and mathematics is beyond anything I've seen in 20 years of teaching. Has he been tested for gifted programs? I almost laughed. Gifted programs? We were barely keeping our heads above water. I was working nights, Grandma Lorraine was getting older, and I was just trying to make sure Marcus had clean clothes and hot meals. But Mrs. Chin was serious. She helped me get Marcus tested and the results came back off the charts. His IQ was in the 98th percentile. The school counselor recommended advanced placement classes, academic competitions, science camps. Science camps cost money. Money we didn't have. That's when Grandma Lorraine did something incredible. She took out a small loan against her house. When I found out, I cried. Grandma, you can't do this. It's too much. She looked at me with those fierce eyes. That boy has a gift, Caroline. We don't waste gifts. Your grandfather would have done the same. Do you think we made the right choice? Going into debt for a child's education? Marcus thrived. He went to science camp that summer and came back talking about molecular biology and quantum physics. Things I couldn't even begin to understand. In high school, he was taking college-level courses. Teachers loved him. He was polite, hardworking, hungry to learn. But here's what killed me, he was also kind. Despite everything Rachel had done, despite being abandoned, Marcus grew up gentle. He volunteered at the food bank. He tutored younger kids. He'd help Grandma Lorraine with her garden every weekend. Mom, he said one day, and yes, by then he called me Mom, I want to be a doctor. I want to help people like you helped me. I ugly cried right there in our kitchen. This boy, this dead weight his birth mother had thrown away, wanted to dedicate his life to healing others. Getting Marcus through college was another mountain. He got a full scholarship to the University of Washington. Full ride, everything paid. I've never been so proud. But medical school? That was a different beast entirely. Marcus worked his ass off. He studied constantly, got research positions, applied for every grant and scholarship he could find. And he got into Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins. One of the best medical schools in the country. I flew out with him for orientation. Grandma Lorraine had passed away the year before, peacefully in her sleep with both of us holding her hands. She'd gotten to see Marcus graduate college. That was enough for her. At Johns Hopkins, I watched Marcus walk into that building with hundreds of other bright young students and I thought, he made it. Against every odd, he actually made it. Medical school was brutal. Marcus would call me at 2 a.m. exhausted, sometimes crying from stress. But he never quit. 4 years later, he graduated near the top of his class. Then residency at Massachusetts General Hospital. Then a fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery. Imagine what I felt watching him save his first life in the operating room. By the time Marcus was 32, he was an attending physician, published researcher, and honestly, kind of famous in medical circles. He developed a new surgical technique that reduced recovery time for heart patients. Hospitals were trying to recruit him. He was giving lectures internationally. And through all of it, every success, every achievement, he called me. Every Sunday without fail. Hey Mom, just wanted to hear your voice. Never once did he ask about Rachel. It was like she'd never existed. Then 3 months ago my doorbell rang. I was living in a small house in Seattle that Marcus had bought me. He'd insisted, said he owed me everything. I opened the door and there she stood. 16 years older, designer handbag, expensive highlights in her hair. Hey Caroline, she said like no time had passed at all. Long time no see. Can I come in? My blood went cold. What do you want? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I heard Marcus did pretty well for himself. Saw an article about him online. Dr. Marcus Chin, pioneering cardiac surgeon. That's my boy. Your boy. I wanted to scream. But I kept my voice steady. He's not your anything, Rachel. You signed away your rights, remember? Oh, come on. I was young and stupid. I've changed. She pushed past me into my living room. I was thinking it's time I reconnected with my son. You know, now that he's successful and all. Do you see what she was doing? 16 years of silence, and suddenly she shows up when Marcus has money and fame? Rachel, you need to leave. Does he ever ask about me? She was looking at the photos on my wall. Marcus's graduation, Marcus receiving an award, Marcus and me at his white coat ceremony. Never. Not once in 16 years. Something flickered across her face. Hurt. Anger? I couldn't tell. Well, she said, I'd like to see him anyway. I think he deserves to know his real mother wants back in his life. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Marcus. I answered, my hands shaking. Hey Mom, I'm in town for a conference. Want to grab dinner? I'm at Seattle General actually, doing a consult. Rachel's eyes lit up. Tell him I'm here, she whispered. Tell him I want to see him. What would you have done in my position? I looked at Rachel, this woman who'd called her son dead weight and disappeared. And I made a decision. Marcus, honey. Actually, can I meet you at the hospital? There's someone here who wants to see you. It's Rachel. Silence on the other end. Then, I'll be in the main lobby in 20 minutes. The drive to Seattle General was tense. Rachel kept fixing her makeup, practicing what she'd say. I felt sick. We walked into that massive hospital lobby and I spotted Marcus immediately in his white coat, stethoscope around his neck, talking to a nurse. He looked so professional, so confident. So far from that sick 9-year-old on my doorstep. Rachel rushed forward. Marcus. Oh my God, look at you. You're so grown up, so successful. Marcus turned. His face went completely blank. He looked at her like she was a stranger. I'm sorry, he said politely. Do I know you? Rachel's smile faltered. Marcus, it's me, your mother. I know it's been a long time, but... My mother is standing right there, Marcus said, nodding at me. And I'm sorry, but I don't know who you are. Rachel's face went red. Marcus, don't be ridiculous. I gave birth to you. I'm your real. That's when the hospital director walked over, an older man in a suit. He extended his hand to Marcus. Dr. Chin, they're ready for you in the conference room. The board is excited to hear your presentation on the new cardiac protocol. Marcus shook his hand. Thank you, Dr. Williams. I'll be right there. Rachel stood frozen watching this interaction. And I swear I saw the exact moment it hit her, what she'd thrown away. But what happened next? Oh, you're going to want to hear what happened next. Because Rachel wasn't done trying to worm her way back in, and Marcus had some things he needed to say to her after all these years. And trust me, she wasn't ready for any of it. Rachel grabbed Marcus's arm as he turned to leave. Wait, please. Just give me 5 minutes. Marcus looked down at her hand on his sleeve, then at her face. His expression was unreadable. After a long moment he nodded. 5 minutes. There's a consultation room down the hall. We followed him. Me, Rachel, and the ghost of 16 years hanging between us. Marcus opened the door to a small private room and gestured for us to sit. He remained standing, arms crossed, every inch the professional doctor. So, he said calmly, what brings you here after all this time? Rachel's eyes filled with tears. And I'll give her credit, they looked real. Marcus, I made a terrible mistake. I was young, scared, in a bad place. I've thought about you every single day for 16 years. Have you? Marcus's voice was flat. Yes. I've wanted to reach out so many times, but I was ashamed. I didn't think you'd want to see me. But when I saw that article about your surgical breakthrough, I thought, maybe it's not too late. Maybe we could start over. Do you believe her? Because I didn't. And clearly neither did Marcus. Start over, he repeated slowly. Tell me something. In those 16 years you were thinking about me, every single day. Did you ever try to call? Send a letter? An email? A text message? Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought. Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolled for a moment, then turned it toward her. This is my publicly listed email at Johns Hopkins. It's been the same for 8 years. Takes about 30 seconds to find on Google. But you never looked, did you? I was afraid you'd reject me. So you waited until I became successful. Until I was worth something. His voice was still calm, but I could hear the edge underneath. Tell me, Rachel, and yes, I remember your name. What would you have done if I'd ended up a failure? If I was working at a gas station instead of saving lives in an operating room? Would you be here right now? Rachel's tears stopped. Her face hardened. You have no idea what I went through. That man I left with? He was abusive. I was trapped for years. I barely escaped with my life. And here's where things got unexpected. Marcus's expression softened slightly. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. I'm sorry that happened to you. Truly. No one deserves abuse. Rachel looked surprised. So was I, honestly. But, Marcus continued, your trauma doesn't erase mine. You called me dead weight. Those were your exact words to Caroline. I was 9 years old, sick with pneumonia, and you called me dead weight. I didn't mean. And even if you were in a terrible situation, you had 16 years after you escaped to find me. But you didn't. Not until you saw I might be useful to you. Rachel stood up abruptly. You know what? Maybe I did come here because I heard you were successful. Is that so wrong? You're my son. Don't I deserve to share in your success? I gave you life. There was the truth finally coming out. Marcus stood too. You gave me genetics. Caroline gave me life. There's a difference. Then Rachel said something that shocked both of us. I want a relationship with you, Marcus. And if you refuse, I'll go to the media. Successful surgeon abandons birth mother. How do you think that'll look for your career? Did she really just threaten him? I couldn't believe it. But Marcus's face stayed calm. Go ahead, he said simply. I have nothing to hide. Caroline legally adopted me. The records are public. And honestly, if my patients or colleagues judge me for choosing the woman who raised me over the woman who abandoned me, then maybe I'm working with the wrong people. Rachel's face twisted with anger. Fine. Then I want money. You owe me that much. Child support, back pay, whatever you want to call it. I'm your mother and... No, Marcus interrupted. You're not. And legally you have no claim to anything. You signed away your parental rights. Remember. But then Marcus did something I didn't expect. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a check. He wrote something on it and handed it to Rachel. This is $5,000. It's enough to get you started somewhere, get some help if you need it. Consider it a gift from one human being to another. But after you cash this check, I never want to see you again. We're done. Rachel stared at the check. 5,000? You make hundreds of thousands a year and you're giving me 5,000. I'm giving you more than you gave me, Marcus said quietly. Which was nothing. Rachel's hand was shaking. For a moment I thought she might rip up the check and throw it in his face. But instead she grabbed her purse. You're going to regret this, she hissed. I'm your mother. Blood is blood. Blood doesn't make you family, Marcus said. Love does. And I haven't felt love from you for a single second since you walked in here. Rachel turned to me. This is your fault. You poisoned him against me. I finally spoke. I never had to say a word against you, Rachel. Your actions spoke for themselves. She stormed out, her heels clicking angrily against the hospital floor. Marcus and I stood there in silence. Then he turned to me and I saw tears in his eyes for the first time. Did I do the right thing, Mom? I hugged him tight. You did exactly the right thing. But here's what neither of us knew. Rachel wasn't going to disappear quietly this time. What she did next. It was vindictive, it was cruel, and it almost destroyed everything Marcus had worked for. And the strangest part? It brought someone unexpected back into our lives. Someone who would change everything. You're not going to believe what happened when Rachel made good on her threat. Because she didn't just go to the media. She did something so much worse. 3 days after the hospital confrontation, Marcus called me at 7 a.m. Mom, we have a problem. Rachel filed a complaint with the hospital board claiming I accessed her confidential medical records without authorization. She's saying I violated HIPAA laws. But you didn't. I know. But they have to investigate. They've suspended me. Suspended. My son who'd worked his entire life for this. Suspended because of her lies. The investigation dragged on for 2 weeks. Rachel kept providing evidence. Forged documents, fake testimonies. She was determined to destroy him. Then something unexpected happened. A woman named Jennifer called me. I was married to the man Rachel ran off with 16 years ago. I saw the news about Marcus. That woman destroyed my family. I'm not going to let her destroy yours. We met at a coffee shop. Jennifer handed me a folder full of court records, police reports, documents. Rachel has a pattern, she explained. She targets successful people, creates scandals, squeezes out settlements. She's done this 5 times. I heard her call Marcus dead weight that night she left. I've hated myself for not doing something then. I can do something now. Can you imagine carrying that guilt for 16 years? I took the folder to Marcus's lawyer. Within days, the hospital discovered Rachel's lies. She'd never been a patient there, everything was forged. The board was so embarrassed they didn't just clear Marcus. They promoted him to chief of cardiothoracic surgery. At 32, Rachel was charged with fraud and filing false reports. 2 other victims came forward. She was facing serious legal trouble. Then Marcus surprised me. Mom, I'm going to help her. Help Rachel? Are you insane? She's sick. Mentally. She has destructive patterns she can't break. And I'm a doctor. I took an oath. He paused. If I don't help her, she'll do this to someone else. Maybe another kid. She tried to destroy your career. And she failed. But I need to try this once. For my own peace of mind. What would you have done? Marcus set up a trust. Enough money for therapy and job training with strict conditions. She couldn't contact him. She had to attend therapy twice a week. Stay out of legal trouble. Break the rules, the money stops. Rachel accepted. 6 months passed. Marcus thrived in his new role. Then I got a handwritten letter from Rachel saying she was in therapy, finally understanding what she'd done. She didn't expect forgiveness, but she wanted me to know she was trying. I threw it away. But yesterday Marcus called and asked me to come to the hospital. When I arrived, he was standing with Dr. Williams and a teenage boy, maybe 15, with Rachel's eyes. Mom, Marcus said gently, this is Dylan. He's Rachel's son. My half-brother. The room started spinning. She had him 6 years after she left me, Marcus explained. She put him in my trust conditions, that if anything happened to her, I'd be contacted. She overdosed last week. She's alive in rehab, but she can't take care of him. I looked at this scared, confused boy who'd done nothing wrong but be born to the wrong person. Marcus knelt to Dylan's level. Hey buddy. I know this is scary. But you're not alone. We're going to figure this out together. History was repeating itself. But this time Marcus was the one doing the saving. Do you think Rachel deserves another chance? Or more importantly, does Dylan deserve the same chance Marcus got? What Dylan told us about Rachel's life changed everything we thought we knew. And what Marcus decided to do about it. Well, that's where this story finally finds its ending. Dylan moved into my guest room that same week. He was quiet, polite, but you could see the trauma written all over him. Marcus came by every evening after his hospital shifts to check on us both. On the third night, Dylan finally opened up. She wasn't always bad, you know, he said quietly, picking at his dinner. When I was little, she tried. She really did. But something would always go wrong. She'd lose a job or a boyfriend would leave and then she'd just fall apart. Did she ever hurt you? I asked gently. Not like physically. But she'd disappear sometimes. For days. I learned to take care of myself pretty young. He looked up at me with those sad eyes. She talked about Marcus sometimes. When she was really low. She'd cry and say she threw away the only good thing she ever had. Do you think regret means anything without change? Dylan told us more over the following weeks. Rachel had struggled with addiction on and off for years. The men, the schemes, it was all desperate attempts to fill some void inside her. And Dylan had been caught in the middle of it all, just like Marcus had been. Marcus took Dylan under his wing immediately. He helped him enroll in a good school, got him into therapy, made sure he had everything he needed. Watching them together, my son mentoring his half-brother, something in my heart softened just a little. A month later, Rachel's therapist called Marcus. She'd like to see Dylan. Just a supervised visit. She's made real progress and I think it might help both of them. Marcus looked at Dylan. What do you want to do, buddy? Dylan thought for a long moment. I want to see her. But I want you to come with me. The visit was at the rehab facility. Rachel looked different, thinner, older but clearer somehow. When she saw Dylan, tears streamed down her face. Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Dylan hugged her and I saw his shoulders shake. I know, Mom. I know. Then Rachel turned to Marcus. I don't deserve your kindness. Any of it. But thank you for taking care of my son when I couldn't. Marcus nodded. He's a good kid. You should be proud of him. I am. Rachel wiped her eyes. And I'm proud of you too. I know I have no right to be, but I am. You became everything I knew you could be, despite what I did. What do you say to that? How do you respond to someone who destroyed you but now seems genuinely changed? Marcus kept it simple. I hope you get better, Rachel. For Dylan's sake and for your own. Over the next few months, Rachel completed her program. She got a job at a community center helping other women in recovery. She attended every single one of Dylan's school events, sitting in the back, never pushing for more than Dylan was ready to give. Marcus and I watched from a distance. He still didn't have a relationship with her, but he made sure Dylan could. Because Dylan deserved a mother who was trying, even if she'd failed before. Then came Dylan's 16th birthday. Marcus threw him a party at my house. Nothing fancy, just family and a few school friends. Rachel asked if she could come just to drop off a gift. When she arrived, she handed Dylan a small box. Inside was a photo album, pictures of Marcus as a baby, as a toddler that Rachel had kept all these years. I thought he should have these, she said quietly. Stories about his big brother when he was little. And Dylan, there's something in the back for you too. Dylan flipped to the last page. There was a handwritten letter. Rachel looked at both boys. I can't undo the past. I can't give back the years I stole or fix the damage I caused. But I can promise you both that I'm trying to be better. Not for money, not for attention. Just to be someone you don't have to be ashamed of. Marcus surprised everyone, including himself, I think. He stood up and extended his hand to Rachel. Thank you for the photos. And thank you for getting help. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't a relationship. But it was acknowledgement. It was enough. That night, after everyone left and Dylan went to bed, Marcus and I sat on my porch. Do you think people can really change? He asked. I thought about the scared 9-year-old on my doorstep. I thought about the brilliant doctor he'd become. I thought about Rachel, broken, destructive Rachel, actually showing up for her son. I think people can try, I said. And sometimes that's enough. Marcus smiled. You know what's funny? Rachel called me dead weight 16 years ago. She thought I'd drag her down. But I lifted myself up. And now maybe I can help lift Dylan up too. Maybe even her, a little bit. You have the biggest heart, you know that? I learned from the best. He squeezed my hand. Thanks, Mom. For everything. For saving me. For showing me what real love looks like. And that's when I realized Rachel was right about one thing. She did throw away the only good thing she ever had. But that good thing? It wasn't her accomplishment. It was mine. Marcus wasn't her success story. He was ours. Mine, Grandma Lorraine's, and his own. Today Marcus is still chief of cardiothoracic surgery. Dylan is thriving in school, talking about becoming a teacher. And Rachel? She's been sober for a year now, working quietly, staying humble, showing up for her son. We're not one big happy family. We probably never will be. But we're something. We're proof that even the most broken things can be mended, even if they never look quite the same. And that dead weight Rachel threw away? He's saving lives every single day. I'd say we proved her wrong. So what do you think? Did Marcus do the right thing helping Rachel? Would you have been able to show that kind of grace? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button. And if there's something you didn't like or think I should have done differently, share your opinion in the comments. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It means the world to me.